right.
So how many times have you been laid off?
Laid off twice in 2 years, actually, since I've graduated college back in this winter of '07.
Why were you laid off the first time?
The first time I was working for a company called JPI out of Texas, and they had an in-house construction division, and everybody in that division of the company all got laid off at the same time due to lack of financing and the downturn in the economy. And then the second time, approximately a year later, back in Orlando working for a general contractor, laid off again basically due to lack of work.
How did they tell you?
The first time was more of a corporate, there was more corporate strategy behind it. They came out and kind of addressed everybody and said that the entire division just wasn't going to receive financing for their next project, and that everybody was going to have to find alternative sources of income pretty much. But there was a whole lot more lead time to it than the second time I got laid off, which seemed to be more of a selective process, kind of my card got pulled sort of thing. I was a field guy, moved into the office for 4 months or so before, on a Thursday at 4 o'clock, pretty randomly, got called into the boss man's office, who was also the owner of the company, and got told face to face at his desk kind of thing.
The second time you were laid off, I mean, how did they tell you, and was it stressful? Did it seem unfair?
Yeah, the second time was a whole lot more stressful than the first, because like I said, it was a total shocker the second time, and it was, you've got one last paycheck kind of thing. Got fired on a Thursday because I think I had 4 or 5 days of vacation left, so it would have lasted one more week or whatnot. But that was a whole lot more sudden. It was a whole lot more unexpected. The first company, when I did get let go, was a whole lot more helpful. They told us a good month and a half in advance, and offered to help us move back to wherever it is we were from. There was big dinners and stuff all around with the top management and stuff. It was everybody up to the vice president of a major company was getting canned. So it was a whole lot different the second time than it was the first time. Different situation, but altogether I think it was handled a whole lot more poorly the second time, just due to the fact that it was the guy that laid me off was actually the owner of a small general contractor here in Winter Park, and it was a little more aggravating, a little more frustrating for sure.
Were there any unemployment benefits provided at all?
Yeah, the first time I got laid off, I took the job relatively immediately. Had some time to do some searching before I left Texas, and then the second time when I moved back here and got laid off again, I picked up I was claiming unemployment through the state of Texas, but yeah, it was state-funded unemployment.
So how did being laid off twice affect you?
I'll tell you too, Jordan, when you get laid off, you got a lot of things running through your mind pretty immediately, but one of the hardest things is obviously how to tell somebody, especially if you're living with them or something like that. But one of the major things that I ran into with it was my background and my degree. I've got a degree in building construction management, and it's what I really love to do. I like being on big projects. I like building stuff. And when it happened, when I took 2 successive pay cuts and got laid off twice in 2 years, basically right out of school, it basically made me question whether or not I was going to be able to make a career out of it, and that's part of the reason I'm back in school today. Just get real leery of the economy. You realize how much the economy can affect you personally, and to that degree, you almost find yourself up against a wall where there aren't the jobs anymore, and you've got a degree, that's what you love to do, but it's not just you that can't find work. You realize real quickly that it's you and everybody else in the industry, and that's tough to take when you can't immediately. It's not like you can go back to school and become a doctor overnight. You've put time and effort into 4 years of an undergraduate degree, and nobody wants you to work for them just because the business and the work's not there. That's tough. Forces you to make some real quick spur of the moment life decisions, I think, and reevaluate what you want. based on maybe what you can accomplish, and that can be a tough pill to swallow. And I think I was fortunate enough to land another job now, kind of in the reconstruction industry. Got real lucky with that, but I can imagine for a lot of people that are laid off with this particular skill set, especially people that are a little bit older than me, maybe later in life, where they just, I mean, I don't know if they'd reached the end of their rope a whole lot more quickly, but I could definitely see some problems stemming from that for sure.
I mean, in the job search, from the time you were laid off, was there a postponement in looking? Did you
absolutely? Oh, absolutely. When the second time I got laid off, I wasn't really in a hurry. I mean, I was collecting some unemployment and taking care of what I needed to do also, and wasn't definitely rushing out to look for something. I mean, didn't want to hop on the train and just start running around looking for a job. I realized after the second time, and it did take 2 times of getting canned, that, you know, maybe it was best to start evaluating other options. And then at the same time too, the job market just wasn't there as far as trying to find another job. I mean, I started looking immediately, started calling people, and there just wasn't the work for anybody with a construction background. So not necessarily did I want to take time off. I wasn't opposed to it, but actively sought work for, 3 weeks or 4 weeks, and then it was just like, well, I'm not going to go walk around handing my resume to people I don't know, sort of thing. So yeah, kind of got a little more lax and actively pursuing.
You've been through this twice now, and is there something that you think your ex-employers or future employers could do better in the layoff process? Is there anything that they can improve upon in that?
When I got laid off the second time, it was real weird. It was like I said, it was a smaller company, and they did it. There was a couple people that went before me on different days of the week. A couple weeks prior, there was a couple people that left after me. I think they got rid of probably like 10 people in total, but it was stretched over the span of about, 2 months, 3 months probably. I think notice is huge on something like this. You don't feel quite so thrown out in the street. My second employer never, for example, gave anybody. There was a couple other people that were in the exact same position I was at the company, doing the exact same thing. We were all field superintendents that got moved back into the office once our respective hotels were done. We were working on a couple projects down south, and basically people my age, the exact same degree, exact same school, built the exact same projects. We were pretty much productive on the same sort of level, and when I would get picked as opposed to them, it kind of felt unfair. So it would almost seem more fair if they would have offered maybe an option. I may have very well taken it if it was appealing at all. But I think notice on any level really helps, and I think the attitude of the person that sits you down and actually tells you that. For example, one thing that still just eats me to this day was, I don't think the guy that did the laying off in the second instance had I don't know if it wasn't that he had much experience. I know he did, but he had a little smirk on his face the whole time he was doing it. And I don't know if it was because he was nervous or what, but it just really came across, and I still think about it today. It just drives me absolutely up the wall. So I think if you have the responsibility to do that within an organization, that you need to attend some sort of class, or at least read up on how you come across to the people you're laying off. I know it's a cutthroat business, time is money kind of thing, but I think you need to evaluate at some point people's conditions, people's feelings, and more than anything, the condition that they're in. I mean, it might make the world of difference to let them know a week in advance. They might have given up a job opportunity a week earlier. You never know. So I think haste makes waste in a lot of ways, and I think that an employer should recognize that, and maybe at least give the employees some options when it comes to such a decision of such magnitude in that instance, for sure.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.